Do you believe in free speech? We're trying
It's
to.
actually, I don't believe it exists anymore.
It doesn't. That's true, but we're trying to raise awareness for this Dr. Ranjeet Brar. Do you know who he is?
No, I don't know who
He was a doctor in London, and he gave a speech about. He was praising Iran, and it was critical of what Israel's doing. So then he got thrown in jail over there because they don't have the same free speech rights. So we're trying to raise awareness, and there's a QR code in there where you can learn about it if you want.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Workers in this country are not powerless. Victory to Iran. Say it with me. Victory to Iran. Victory to Iran. I don't know why you wouldn't say it. Victory to Iran. They are rewriting the map of the Middle East. They are ejecting the US imperialists from the whole region. I can't agree more with the last speaker who said, this is the end of Sykes-Picot. Why should we be afraid to say it? Israel, its genocidal settler colonial entity, has no right to existence. It needs to be wiped off the face of the map and replaced with the word Palestine in its entirety. I want to see the Lebanese resistance triumph. I want to see the Yemeni resistance triumph. I want to see the fall of the imperialist stooge regimes. And when our government and our city of London lose control over these incredible sources of wealth, because that's what they want. This is a war of aggression, undoubtedly. This is a war crime, undoubtedly. It's become hackneyed to say it. We can all see it. We must stare truth in the face. These are the criminals. Our criminals sit in the City of London. They sit in Downing Street. They sit in the US Embassy. These are the imperialists that commit the genocides, whether it's in Ukraine, whether it's in the Horn of Africa, whether it's the Rapid Support Forces, whether it's the UAE and their Bahraini puppets that they use to oppress the region. All of it is dedicated towards extracting wealth and creating a regime of global slavery. So
that was an absolutely epic speech, and that is what they dragged him out of jail, dragged him to jail, out of bed into jail for giving. And they want it to be illegal to talk that way. He said victory to Iran, that Iran and the Iranian people have the right to defend themselves. Now, he said exactly what everyone needs to hear right now. Our real enemy is at home. Our enemy is an international financial system, Wall Street and London gripping the world and keeping the world as their slaves. And that when countries break out of that system, the Yemeni resistance, the Palestinian resistance, the Iranian Islamic Republic, when countries break out of that system, they are our allies against globalism, imperialism.
Hi. Do you believe in free speech?
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't want to walk in front of your camera.
We want people to come and voice their opinion. So we're raising awareness about Dr. Ranjeet Brar. He's a surgeon in the UK.
How you doing? You believe in free speech?
He was thrown in jail for his recent speech defending Iran and their fight against imperialism, globalism, and against the genocidal actions that the Zionist entity is doing. And so the UK threw him in jail. They've thrown him in jail twice. And it's an attack on free speech for all of us. And so we're with the Center for Political Innovation. We have a 4-point economic plan that would pivot America to a better economy instead of run by Wall Street and the big banks. We want America to be owned by Americans, and that this attack on free speech is an attack on us all. Okay. So you can.
I will go there and look you up.
This is the article. It explains it, and then this is our organization. Okay.
But the Sykes-Picot Agreement, it drew up the borders of the Middle East. So during World War I, you had the Russian Revolution, and the Bolsheviks, they were kind of like Julian Assange. And one thing that they did is when the Bolsheviks took power, they did a huge info drop, a huge WikiLeaks. They revealed all the secret treaties that were held by the Tsar's government, right? And as World War I was still going on, Russia dropped out of World War I, and then the Bolsheviks revealed all kinds of secret communications between the Russians and the British, between the French and the Germans, and it was really, really powerful. And one of the things that they revealed was a treaty called the Sykes-Picot Agreement. During World War I, the Allied countries drew the map of the Middle East, right? And this is a very, very, very important thing, but this is what they did. This is what they drew, right? During World War I, the Ottoman Empire of Turkey controlled the Middle East region. And at that point, the British were planning to defeat the Ottoman Empire. And so they decided, what are the new borders going to be? And they drew up the borders of the Middle East. And they drew up the borders of Iraq. And they drew up the borders of Syria. And they gave it to the French, right? And they drew up Palestine. And after World War I, you had the Balfour Declaration. And the borders of the modern Middle East were drawn up by the colonizers, right? There is one Arab people. And this is one thing I have learned from Arabs, right? Arabs. The Iranians are not Arabs, by the way. They're Persians, right? But the Arab people, there's one Arab nationality. Arabs are Arabs. They speak Arabic, and they have one nationality. And these borders were drawn up when the imperialists came and seized their land and divided among themselves parts of it. And they created Syria so that the French could have their chunk of it. And they drew Iraq so that the British puppet king of Iraq could have his part of it. And they drew Saudi Arabia because the House of Saud, which is a puppet of the British, this sultanate that the British gave guns to, that believed in the Wahhabi interpretation of Islam. The British had used them as puppets, right? The Sauds, the House of Saud, and they gave them a big chunk of the Middle East as well, right? And the borders of the Middle East were drawn up by the imperialists, and they're not real. And the Arab people have been divided so they could be oppressed and colonized. And he's saying that this is the end of the Sykes-Picot Agreement. And the British Mandate of Palestine, which eventually became, the Israel after 1948, was drawn up, right? You had Palestine was there. And then the British had the Balfour Declaration, and they started sending Jewish people there in big numbers. And the Rothschilds and Theodore Herzl started bringing Jewish people there in big numbers. And those Jewish folks were not very nice to the Arabs. They would fight for British oil companies, and they would defend oil pipelines, the Jewish settlers that came in. So the Arabs revolted against the Jewish settlers that came in to Palestine in 1936. So the British military was sent to the British Mandate of Palestine in 1936 to put down the Arab riots against the Zionist settlers that were kidnapping, local Arab people and killing them and cutting off their hands and doing, awful things to the Arab population. And then after World War II, the United Nations, led by Harry Truman, created Israel. And Israel is a result of the British Mandate of Palestine. And it's a result of the Sykes-Picot Agreement.
Hello? You believe in free speech? Yeah. Do you know who Dr. Ranjeet is? He's a UK surgeon. He was thrown in jail for his speech defending Iran and their right for self-defense and against the Zionist regime. So we're just raising awareness, and you can read an article about it right here. Thank you. Why are we here, Gary?
We are here to defend free speech and to support Dr. Ranjeet Brar.
What happened to him?
Well, he gave an important speech where he was critical of Israel and their Zionist policies, and he spoke up in support of Iran.
That's anti-Semitic.
Well, according to London, it is. And
the UK just passed a law banning repeat protests. So they just arrested like hundreds of people for supporting Palestine action and opposing genocide. So it's kind of getting crazy around here.
Yeah, so we need to support some free speech as much as we can. And that's why we're supporting Dr. Ranjeet Brar.
That's right. And we need to end imperialism. Do you believe in free speech? I said, do you believe in free speech? Free speech, yes. We're here to support a UK surgeon who was thrown in jail for speaking out against the Zionist regime and defending Iran's right to defend themselves. So we're here to raise awareness that we need to defend the right to free speech and to end imperialism.
Well, I don't know. I'm certainly. I'd like more information on it because I've got family who lives in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to just take a blanket thing without reading about it.
Yeah, you can find the article right here. Yeah.
It's a QR code.
The UK is throwing people in jail for opposing genocide and for holding a sign.
I understand that, but this doesn't say anything about the UK, but it does say a lot about Israel. I'm just looking at it, so I'm sensitive to that being Jewish too.
Yeah, and we are all for religious freedom.
Okay.
It's just that the imperialist globalists, the big banks and the corporations that are running the world, they're trying to drag everyone down into poverty. And Jewish people have a right to their religion, but it shouldn't be a reason to justify Netanyahu's government killing hundreds of thousands of people and dragging American people into war against Iran, which does nothing for America.
Okay.
And one of the countries that broke out of Western domination during the 20th century and did so in order that they could build, one of those countries is Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran emerged as a result of an anti-colonial revolution. The Shah of Iran was a dictator backed by the United States who was keeping the country poor. And Iran has a huge amount of oil resources, and the oil workers went on strike, and pretty soon everyone in the country was in the streets, and in 1979 they had the Islamic Revolution of Iran. And Khomeini, who was a Shia Muslim cleric, became the leader of the Islamic Revolution. And his slogan, as he said, neither East nor West, Islamic Republic, not capitalism, but Islam, was the slogan that he established the Islamic Republic on. He said, Islam is a religion of the oppressed and those who have been plundered by imperialism. And he said, no one should be homeless in this country. He promised to bring running water and electricity to all of Iran, and he did it.
I'm bored with you.
How are we doing today? Good. Are you aware of Dr. Ranjeet Brar? Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Well, he gave a speech that was praising Iran and it was critical of what Israel's doing, and he's over in London and they threw him in jail. So we're trying to raise awareness for him. So there's a QR code where you can learn about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He brought running water and electricity to all of Iran. At this point, Iran is a country that does not have any part of the country without electricity. And they've got running water in the country, they've electrified, they've wiped out illiteracy. The government heavily subsidizes food. They use the oil profits to heavily subsidize food. One of the biggest achievements of the Islamic Revolution was in terms of healthcare. The construction jihad. So after the Islamic Revolution of Iran, when Khomeini took power, Iraq invaded Iran with the support of the United States. And during that war, Khomeini got on television and called for what he called a construction jihad. And it was kind of similar to what Stalin had done with the 5-year plan, mobilize the country to go out and build. And during that time, they built 17,000 rural healthcare clinics, 17,000 healthcare clinics in rural areas where people had never seen a doctor before in their lives, 17,000. And I believe, Mahir, your grandfather was one of the doctors who was employed there, right? So there you go. Yeah, I mean, there's proof of it right here in this room. The infant mortality rate in Iran prior to the 1979 Islamic Revolution was 200 deaths per 1,000 live births. Today in Iran, it is 7 deaths per 1,000 live births. Now that is a really, really dramatic improvement in terms of infant mortality. And Iran sits at the center of a political and religious movement all throughout the region. Iran, its leaders and its government sponsors Hezbollah in Lebanon.
They sponsor the Houthis in Yemen. They sponsor Shia militias in Iraq. After the USA invaded Iraq, Iraq is divided between Sunnis and Shias. And a lot of the Sunnis that were linked to Saudi Arabia, linked to ISIS and groups like that, believe that it is their duty to kill Shia Muslims. So Shia Muslims have formed armed militias and self-defense groups to protect themselves. Iran funds those militias. In Bahrain, there is a king, an autocratic dictator who's imposed on the country of Bahrain. He's not elected. The majority of the people of Bahrain are Shia Muslims, but the king is a Sunni and appointed by Saudi Arabia. They host U.S. military bases. And in Bahrain, there's a democracy movement that wants this king to be toppled. And they want democracy in Bahrain, and they're funded and supported by Iran. And this is actually the logo of Hezbollah, right? This is their logo, and it's very similar to the official logo of the Houthi movement in Yemen. And it's interesting, so the hand represents God, right? The gun represents the right to armed self-defense, and then there's a shaft of wheat here, and that stands for economic development. And that's actually their official symbol. And one thing that I learned specifically about the Houthis, that are the Shia Muslim group funded by Iran and Yemen, is that what we would call the Second Amendment is a really big part of their religion. They believe it is your duty to have a gun to protect your home. You must have a gun to protect your home. And that's actually what started the war in Yemen, is the government of Yemen, aligned with the United States, tried to take their guns away, and they refused to be disarmed. And that's why, you know, at the rallies, when you see the Houthis rallying, they're waving their guns everywhere, because they're saying, "From my cold, dead hands, you won't take it away from me." That's what they're saying. Iran is the main force. It's forces aligned with Iran that are currently battling Israel throughout the Middle East.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Iran is fighting Wall Street on her land. Iran is fighting London on her land. Iran is fighting Wall Street. Iran is fighting London. Iran is fighting Zios on her land. Dr. Ranjeet praised Iran in his speech. Dr. Ranjeet went to jail for his speech. Dr. Ranjeet praised Iran. Dr. Ranjeet went to jail. Dr. Ranjeet angered Zios with his speech. We stand with Dr. Ranjeet and Iran. We stand with Dr. Ranjeet and Iran. We stand with working people. We stand with working people. We stand with working people in their land.